So finally we are here at the main event. The top of the card, Phoenix Pro Wrestling, Friday, August 26th. We have Mr. Primetime, the current Gold Rush Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
We have Frost, the Phoenix Pro Wrestling champion. And we have JR Kratos, the hottest element in Phoenix Pro Wrestling right now. Fresh off of a win against Sir Samurai.
Big win.
Who's also a member of the Honor Society, which
Mm-hmm.
Frost is aligned with. We have the three top guys in a match. Continuing the working relationship that Phoenix Pro Wrestling has with Gold Rush Pro Wrestling, we have their champion introduced into the title mix. There's all sorts of implications for Bay Area wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Possible unification of belts, unification of champion. There's so much that could happen in this match. There's a lot of elements. Let's start breaking this one down.
Too.
Absolutely,
Got
bragging rights.
Two Bay Area heavyweight champions of two different feds
in one
in
match.
a match against each other, but also Kratos, the third element in here.
And Kratos was the APW champion. He's been the SPW champion.
He's held some gold.
There was a time where I think he had 4 titles at once or something
Yeah.
like that, something ridiculous like
No
that.
stranger to gold.
He has
No.
the frame to pull off 4 belts.
Yeah, and we've mentioned it before. That's a big belt that will look good on Kratos, and I think he knows that. So obviously this has been something building for a while. We know Kratos has had his eye on the championship ever since he was ousted in the championship tournament way back when. And so for Kratos, he feels now that he's gone through the paces. He had a really tough match against Boyce LeGrand and was able to pull that out with a bum shoulder. He was able to go to war, and it was a true war with Sir Samurai at our last show, and really take it to the veteran and pull out a very impressive victory. And so now there's what's left, right? And it's Drake Frost. That's what's left.
The belt.
That's
belt is
what's left. But now Mr. Primetime comes in, and you mentioned, me and Eric appreciate, obviously, what you guys are bringing to the fold, you and Jim with the Phoenix Pro Wrestling and Gold Rush. And I'm really interested to see what Mr. Primetime brings to the table because it's an unknown element to us. We obviously know he's a champ. He's been successful.
I've been seeing him in other feds for a decade now.
Right. But for us here, this is
PPW.
This is the first time.
Yeah.
And like you said, veteran guy who's been around a little while, so he's got his mark on the Bay Area wrestling scene, and he comes into this match as the quote unquote outsider, but he's also been someone that I think Gold Rush has been wanting to get out and show off, right?
Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity for him to do that, but. Who's going to beat Drake Frost, guys?
Right, and this is
seriously, can we talk about
Frost? Is
Not many people have been able to do it.
Jeff
Definitely
Cobb.
not
Jeff
lately.
Cobb fell to Drake
couldn't.
Frost. Right. I mean, Marcus Lewis gave him a hell of a run, in March. I
am so impressed by what Frost has done, and I don't want to come off sound so over the moon for the guy.
Sorry,
but when
you can have your me
from
and
the
Jeff Cobb
first
moments,
show
fine.
here, where I truthfully didn't know a lot about him when we started, and now to look back, that seems so long ago, even though it was less than 2 years ago.
How about the match with Pinoy Pride that we were talking about?
Yeah,
did we know he had that in him?
No, I mean it's
well, let's talk about that. He suplexed 2 men at once.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look,
which is
he's
crazy. And I've seen him. He's a guy now that I go out of my way to watch his matches in other feds, and I've seen him and Gabriel Gallo in Premier just beat the hell out of each other. It's like he just brings it to every situation he's in. He is an incredibly deserving champion, and here he is in a match in MPT's debut here against another champion, another guy who's a deserving champion. Just a total wrench in a match. You have 3 guys in a match, and when you add that third man to a match, it really puts everybody at a disadvantage because it's such a unfamiliar place to be in a match. Singles matches are obviously tough, but it's you against a guy. Throw a third guy into there, suddenly that's 2 different people you have to watch out for with nobody having your back.
and we like to play the percentages, right? So now it's 1-3 that Frost is your champion at the end of this match.
Mm-hmm.
And the added element is he doesn't have to get pinned to lose the championship.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think, this is probably the first time in Drake's eyes that he might feel quote unquote disrespected, because he's been the guy that has been out there throwing the challenges down. He was the guy who said, yeah, bring on Jeff Cobb. He's like, whoever wins this match, I'll take on the champion. I'll take the winner on, in a match. Obviously we had the one quote unquote championship match with Pat the ref that, that turned into something a little bit different by the end of the night. But at the same time, he has been someone that is just downright dominant, and he's coming up on a year now with that championship. And it's been really tough for me to see who is really going to match up with him. And we know Kratos is the guy now that's going to be gunning for him. But now there's just another one. There's another guy that gets thrown into the mix in Mr. Primetime. And all of a sudden there's kind of a slight there. And I'm wondering how both Kratos and Frost are going to take this, because you see him just come right in. He gets a title match. Yes, he's the champion of Gold Rush, but Kratos is like, I've gone through Boyce, I've gone through Samurai. It's like, when's my shot? And this is his shot now.
That's why I'm saying it's not just a disadvantage strategically for these guys, but every guy in the match has the right to have kind of a chip on their shoulder. Frost can be upset that he could lose the title without being pinned. Kratos can be upset that MPT is getting brought in to have a title match when Kratos has been in the Fed working his way to this title match. And, every guy can have a bone to pick, and every guy has a lot to lose.
Mr. Primetime could be wondering why it's been almost a year since since Gold Rush has been here, that he's been able to be a part of PPW.
Right. No, well, I would think that it's actually much more to MPT's advantage, because think about this from the perspective of Gold Rush and MPT. He gets to come in. His belt's not on the line. He has virtually nothing to lose.
I didn't even think about that.
Gold Rush could scoop a championship in one match. Just come in and take it. So I think that actually MPT is probably the guy who has the greatest chance to really pull a fast one.
Yeah.
And just walk away the total winner.
He does have more to win.
Yeah, and he's been around a while. He understands what it takes to be a champion, and he understands what it's like to be I don't think he's going to be quote unquote considered the underdog, but he is kind of the unknown.
Yeah.
And
I think at this level there's no underdogs.
Right. And
really.
so he kind of knows how to use that to his advantage, I have a feeling. And so I would not be surprised to see him do one or two things that kind of make us go side-eye a little bit. But that being said, Drake has been so impressive that my proclivity to say that who's going to beat him is mainly due to the fact that he has been such a tremendous champion, and someone that, when given the opportunity to take on a guy like Marcus Lewis, who is hungry coming back after his unfortunate concussion, to take on a guy like Jeff Cobb really at the beginning of his ascent towards the top of independent wrestling, this guy has really said, okay, put whoever you want in front of me, I'm going to do my job. Yeah. And that's what his goal is to say, okay, you're going to put two guys in front of me? Okay, yeah. I don't care. Let's do this.
He has gold. He does not want to lose the gold. Once he's got the taste for gold,
right,
he's a defending fighting champion.
We might see a sacrifice at his altar,
yes.
And it's like it's just downright just fun to see him in this element where he is so confident, and it comes through in the fact that even when he feels like his back's against the wall, like we saw it when he had to use the deep freeze to get Lewis to win that match, and he like scrambled back to the corner and said, "Give me my belt," and he held that thing tight.
Yeah,
that was kind of the quote unquote first time you really saw vulnerability, but that also showed that he would do everything it took to hold on to that championship.
But then he also threw Marcus Lewis out of his ring.
Right.
It was a very brief moment.
Right. I mean, look, of quote unquote vulnerability.
And it went away.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he understands what's at stake. Kratos definitely knows what's at stake because he has been this close a couple of times before. And, Mr. Primetime is going to come in wearing another belt. So I'm interested to see if there's going to be one thing that really stands out amongst the other, whether it's the dominance of Frost, the Mr. Primetime's kind of ability to be an unknown quantity in this match, or just JR Kratos having this desire to say, you know what, this is my time, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it begin now.
It's the match out of every one of them that I think have the most different possibilities of outcomes, while also I have no idea what the outcome will be. Right.
There's nothing set in stone here, and this is perhaps the most intriguing main event that PPW has ever had, and this can set the tone for something down the stretch or down the road for PPW that I don't think anybody would see coming. And I'm excited for that prospect on the 26th because, if there's anything that we've learned since PPW almost 2 years ago came into existence is I think we know how to kind of and end the show on a high note. We've seen so many great moments at the end of shows, and I have a feeling we're going to see another one. I really do.